What's up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So this is the update or follow-up to my Twisting Blades build guide. We are now level 80. Pretty much got good gear. I mean, this has been a fantastic build. It's fun. It's super fast. You know, you're zooming around the map, killing enemies quickly, doing tons of damage. Yeah, there have been the nerfs to the build, but I don't think it's really impacted it that much. I'm going to get into it, show you guys the gear, everything that I use into the Paragon board. We'll hit the skill tree. Just kind of give you a rundown on the overall build. It is level 80. I mean, you could get a little bit more damage out of it, but basically remember this is a crit build. I stack crit chance, and vulnerable damage. Those are all multiplicative damage sources, so they're not additive. So basically we're just stacking a ton of crit with this build so we can do a lot of damage. Anyways, let's get right into it. We'll start off with the gear. I'll go ahead and show you guys what I'm using. Before that, real quick, we're going to go in here and show you we have 31.6% critical strike chance, and that doesn't include a bunch of other things that give us critical strike chance. Like when I lay my poison trap, I get like 12%. I get some from the tree. I get some from items, like right here, you know, I can get 9%. I mean, we're doing a lot of crit damage, and also, as you can see right here, our critical strike damage is 248%, and that doesn't even show, like on the tree, we have critical strike damage with crowd control attacks, so it doesn't even show that. Like, so overall, we're doing a ton of crit damage. We got high crit chance with our base at 31, almost 32%, plus all of the stuff and buffs from our gear, our tree, our Paragon board. So keep that in mind. I mean, you see the attack power of 7,900 right here, but just remember that doesn't add crit damage and all that stuff to it. So anyways, let's get right into the gear though. Briefly just going to go through this. For the helmet, we've got this pretty nice helm right here. Now you can see right here the imprint on it. You gain 0.45% to the armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking all up to 45% armor. That's a huge buff. That's really good to have. We definitely want to try to get that. It's going to give you like a lot of defense in the build for resistances and everything else. We'll come right here to our armor. Basically, we just got this armor, stats, ton of life, damage reduction, and then we have a barrier that pops out here and there for 10 seconds. Right here into our gloves. I love these gloves. They're really nice. +4 to Twisting Blades, 16% lucky hit chance, 15% attack speed, 12% crit chance. Basically, can't really get better unless the armor was higher. Right here, you know, for our aspect, we have critical strikes with core skills. Increase your attack speed by 20%. That's another 20%. We're always spamming our core skills really good. Down here into our pants, you know, we got a lot of life, dodge chance, damage reduction, you know, and the aspect that we have right there. Now into our boots. Our boots are pretty nice also. A lot of movement speed. Oh yeah, also guys, on this build, we have a ton of movement speed. I mean, our cap for movement speed, overall the movement speed cap you can have, you can see right there is 200%. We have 164, and that's without our shrouds up and everything else. So it's, I mean, we're pretty much always capped on our movement speed. We're just zooming around the map. But anyways, back into our boots. We have energy cost reduction, which you want to try to get on all of the gear that you can. That's really important with this build. I'll show you the other stuff that we do for the energy to make it to where we pretty much never run out of energy. We're almost always spamming Twisting Blades, so it's really nice. Now you look at the imprint on these boots. You know how we have the nerf now to the cooldown reduction. Now Shadow Step has an additional charge. Killing an enemy with Shadow Step refunds a charge and increases the damage of Shadow Step, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, basically, we got an extra charge with Shadow Step, and on top of that, when we kill an enemy using Shadow Step, we get another charge back. So this helps. I mean, we're using Shadow Step a lot to get behind the enemies, do more damage, crowd control them, and so forth. So really nice. I mean, you know, other people have those other boots that give you the. I'll show you real quick. These ones up here. A lot of people use. Where are they at? Right here. A lot of people use these. Which are really good. Crowd control, duration, movement speed, slow reduction of your duration, and they chill enemies, and you do more damage to the chilled enemies. And that, chill is a form of crowd control, really nice. But with the recent nerfs, I honestly think that having these are better, to be honest with you. And this gives you more uses of your shadow step. We also have dash in the build, so we're just moving around all the time, crowd controlling enemies. In my opinion, these are better now. For our stat stick right here, we have twisting blades aspect on there at 28%, almost to 30%. That way we can get the most out of it, because any aspect that you have on your two-hander, it's 100%, you know, buff. So that's why we have that there. We got pretty good stats on our two-hander. Excuse me. Over here into our necklace, we got a nice necklace, 3 to the exploit passive, 23% energy cost reduction, really nice. That's the highest roll. More movement speed, crowd control duration, and then right here, you can see for the aspect on here, distant enemies have an 8% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds when they hit you. Now, that's not a big deal, but the second part of this, you read, you deal 57% increased damage to stun enemies, which is really nice, because when using Shadow Step, all the enemies that we go through and the enemy that we get behind are stunned for, like, I think it's almost 3 seconds for me, because I have extended crowd control duration. So, I mean, that's a ton of damage, and that's multiplicative. You know, you see the little X next to the 57%. That means that it's multiplicative. It's not an additive source, so it's more damage. Okay, so right here, this is kind of a thing you want to have for the build. Mother's Embrace. You can get it from the end boss. She'll drop it, Lilith, or this one actually I found farming. If a core skill hits 5 or more enemies, 35% of the resource cost is refunded. That's another way we keep our resources up, so you want to have that. Now, this is just a little bit better version. This is the ancestral version. The other one that you drop from Lilith is only legendary, so the stats on this are a bit higher. For my other ring right here. Now, we have this. It's a pretty nice ring. I got on all your gear. You want to, as far as damage, you want to try to get critical strike damage. You definitely want as much crit chance as you can get. I go to try to find life. I wouldn't worry about any resistances on your build. And you want to try to get vulnerable damage. Those are the most important things. Now, you can see I have imprinted. Killing a vulnerable enemy grants 50% increased energy regeneration for 4 seconds. Now, a lot of people will tell you, and it's not a bad idea, to go with this. I have this one right here, Circle of the Umbral. Down there you can see restore 4 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy, which we're constantly crowd controlling enemies, so that does give you a lot of resource too. I actually crafted this ring. You can see right here, it's a pretty nice one. Has critical strike damage, critical strike chance, damage to crowd control, and so forth. But anyways, the reason that I go with this is because, honestly, that 50% increase to regeneration is just as nice to me. And I get a ton of life with this ring. And I basically wanted to have a nice ring with life. So that's why I use that. For my daggers, I have 2 pretty nice daggers. Dexterity, they do a ton of damage. Imprint on this one, you have a 19% increased critical strike chance against injured enemies. There's more crit chance. And you gain 38% increased crowd control duration. That's a huge chunk. So that's really good to have. Right here, and for this dagger, this is high damage, critical strike, vulnerable damage, dexterity. It has critical strike damage against imbued. That doesn't count. I could get a little bit better stats on these, but for the most part, my gear is pretty nice overall. Maybe a couple things you could change here and there. So yeah, I mean the gear that I have on here is pretty nice right now. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and jump into our specializations. Now, with our specialization, we want to go with Inner Sight. Inner Sight basically attack marked enemies to fill up your Inner Sight gauge when it's full, gain unlimited energy for 4 seconds. So you're just spamming more twisting blades, unlimited energy. It's really nice to have. And then on bosses, this works awesome. I mean, literally all the bosses that I go up against just melt, and I'm going up against bosses that are like 10, 15 levels higher than me. I've even tried, and I'm still just melting them. So okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our skill tree. Briefly go over that. We'll start up here at the top. Their basic skill. Basically, we want to get puncture. Back here and do enhanced and fundamental. This is not really doing much. I mean, it does apply vulnerable, but as you'll see in our tree, we have vulnerable applied all the time. This right here just helps to regenerate resource when we don't have any left, which is not very often anymore. Core skill, obviously we want twisting blades. I got +4 to it, so it's level 9. You definitely want to get that +4 on your gloves. Really important. Eventually, back into enhanced, and then over here into advanced. Basically, this cuts down the cooldown on your skills. Oh yeah, and then over here we want to get sturdy for Close damage reduction, we're always in people's faces. And then siphoning strikes, we heal 3% of your maximum life. When you critically strike close enemies, we're always crit striking. That's our build is based around crit. Down here, we're going to get 1 into Shadow Step. Back here into Enhanced Shadow Step. Back here into Methodical, so that we're stunning enemies every time too. Form of crowd control, we want to get Dash. We're going to come down into Enhanced Dash, and then down here into Discipline Dash. So basically, we're slowing enemies or dazing them if they're already slowed. More crowd control. Come over here into Concussive. After knocking back or knocking down an enemy, you gain 12% increased critical strike chance. More crit chance. Right here into Weapon Mastery, going to get us more damage. Come down in here to our Subterfuge skills. We want to get Dark Shroud. Back into Enhanced Dark Shroud. And then Subverting Dark Shroud. Basically, we get a lot of damage reduction for each Dark Shroud. And we get movement speed, so we're just moving around the map quickly. 1 into Poison Trap. Then we're going to get Enhanced Poison Trap. And then we're also going to get Subverting Poison Trap back here. Basically does more damage. We knock down enemies for 1.7 seconds. Really nice. Come down in here into Exploit. We got 3 points on our amulet for this too, so it's at level 6. We do 36% increased damage to healthy and injured enemies. Malice, you deal 6% increased damage to vulnerable enemies, which the enemies we go against are always vulnerable. So we'll come down here into our imbuement skills. We don't get any of the actual imbuement skills. We want to go 1 into Deadly Venom, 3 into Debilitating Toxins, and 1 into Alchemical Advantage. This is for poison enemies, deal 15% less damage to you anytime you throw your poison trap. Those enemies are doing less damage overall. Right here, you gain up to 15% attack speed, basically per enemy, 1% per enemy that's poisoned. So we're almost always at 15% because we're always poisoning a bunch of enemies. Come down into our ultimate skills. We don't take any ultimate skills with this build. We do come up here into Innervation, and then we go up here into Second Wind. Basically, more energy and more energy. We have 30% chance to gain 8 energy on lucky hits. I mean, we just, all of the sources that we have of regenerating our energy make it to where we really don't have problems with this build at this point with energy anymore. We want to get Trap Mastery. When Poison Trap or Death Trap activates, you gain 12% increased critical strike chance against vulnerable and crowd control enemies. Enemies are always vulnerable because of our Paragon Board. And then on top of that, there's 12% more increased critical strike chance. Okay, we're going to come down here into Adrenaline Rush. Go ahead and just get yourself 1 point into there so we can get down into here into Haste. We'll add above 50% maximum energy, gain 15% increased movement speed, while below 50% maximum energy, get 15% increased attack speed. Really nice, more DPS for the build. We're going to come over here into Momentum. Basically, this is awesome. I wouldn't go with anything else in this build. Cutthroat skills Cutthroat skills grant a stack of momentum for 8 seconds if they either hit a stunned, dazed, or frozen enemy, which we're always doing. And at 3 stacks, we get 20% increased damage reduction. We get 30% increased mana regeneration, energy regeneration, and movement speed. I mean, just, awesome all the way around. A lot of people ask me in the comments and have asked me before, why don't you use Death Trap? I don't feel it's necessary. This build does plenty of damage and it's super fast. I go around just, killing packs really fast. If I have any kind of problems or if I want to like slow packs down or whatever, I just use my Poison Trap, which does a lot of different things for me. So let's go ahead and jump into the Paragon Board now. All right, so for the Paragon Board, as you can see, we focus a lot on critical strikes. So we try to take everything that gives crit damage as we possibly could. Over here, I'm going to go through everything, but I'm just showing you. So let's see here. We'll go ahead and start out. Down here, this is where we start. We came up here, grabbed this right here for 20% damage, 4 to maximum life. Grabbed these nodes, came up. We got, now keep in mind that all of my glyphs are at level 15. One of them's at 16. So it makes the radius bigger, and then you get more out of it. And we meet the requirements for each one, so we get the additional bonus on each one. On our first one, I have right here Closer. Basically, it gives us a ton of damage to our Cutthroat skills, and then we also get 10% reduced damage. We come up here now. I do want to grab this right here. Get Armor, Dexterity, more damage. Come up here. We get Skillful, damage, Dexterity, and more damage. We don't want to come up this way. Come over here. We're going to grab this socket and we're going to get Combat. Combat's really good. 66.2% critical strike damage with core skills. More crit damage, really nice. Come over here, we get Devious for damage to crowd control. Over here we get grab this for 12% damage reduction from slowed enemies. With dash, we're always slowing enemies anytime we go through packs, so that's nice. We come over here, we want to get safeguard, more damage reduction from elites, and then we get more in this area from elites, which is nice. Elites hit hard, especially in those higher nightmare dungeons. We come up here, grab cheap shot. Basically it gives us a lot of damage, excuse me, against crowd control enemies. Come up over here, as you can see there's more crit chance over here, a ton of it against crowd control enemies. And then there's crowd control damage, so we grab these nodes. Want to come over this way, come down over here, because there's a bunch of crit chance physical damage down here, really nice. I'm gonna come around, come down here, come down over here. We're gonna grab ruin, 25% damage to healthy enemies, more critical strike damage. Now keep in mind, guys, that I went through the boards and I tried to find boards that had the most critical strike damage. I'm trying to just stack it as much as possible so that we're doing a ton of damage and dropping enemies quickly. Want to come over here and over here down, and we put exploit here. Now this is the most important glyph that we have. As you can see right here, for the additional bonus, when an enemy is damaged by you, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds. Vulnerable enemies take 20% increased damage. It's a more damage, like they take 20% more of your overall damage. It's not just a small percent of additive damage. That's really important. And then also, you know, from the nodes around it, we get 27% vulnerable damage, which is multiplicative damage also. So we really want to have that. Come down here, we get the maximum life. You know, we want to, let's see, where was I going to go next? Oh yeah, so basically right here, you know, for each one after level 80, the first thing that I would have done is for all the strength nodes in this red area right here. As you can see, we get 3.2% increased damage. I would have got this strength node, I would have got this strength node, more damage. And then after that, guys, you can kind of go around and see what you want to get, maybe go into another board. But I mean, what you're doing right here with all of this damage is really good overall. This build, like I said, is super fun, guys. I haven't had any problems with it. I've done nightmare dungeons that are way higher level than I am with no issues whatsoever. Has great survivability. Hopefully this guide has been helpful for you guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out my channel. I'll be posting a lot of stuff for Diablo 4. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions, anything you possibly change. You know, for this Paragon board right here, guys, I tried to, you know, make it as neat as possible and get as much damage as possible out of it without routing too many other extra areas and stuff. I'm sure it could maybe be fixed up just a little bit by a few points, but whatever. For me, this worked out just great, and I do tons of damage. Anyways, all right, guys, thanks for watching.